All right, Advanced Math, Unit 11. I forgot to tell you guys to change that. Will you please make that an 11? Unit 11, morning review. All right. The order I want you guys, or I suggest you do it, is look for a parabola first. Why? Because a parabola is the most unique. It is the only one that has one variable squared. So glance through which one's your parabola. A. Everybody agree? All right. The second one I would suggest is the hyperbola. And here's why. After the parabola, all the other three shapes have two squares, an x squared and a y squared. But hyperbola is the only one that has opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative. So glance through. Which one is it? B is the hyperbola. Now remember, when you're doing this, everything has to be on one side. You can't have it split across the equal sign. Okay. After the hyperbola, the last two you would check would be the circle or the ellipse. And those two are the most alike. They're both squared. They both have the same sign. What's the difference between the two? The leading coefficients. For a circle, they are the same, and for an ellipse, different. Okay, two squares, same sign, a circle or an ellipse. An ellipse because it's different. Two squares, same sign, and they're both positive 2, circle or an ellipse. Okay, any questions on how to figure out what the shape is? We're good? Yes.
Oh wait,
Good? Okay. Find the equation of the asymptotes for number 2. Easiest question on the test, guys, because what is the formula that we use?
Y.
Good. Plus or minus m and then x minus x1. And what, and x1 and y1 come from the what? And in this particular problem, what's the center? Okay, and the slope we just went over earlier, is it b over a or a over b? Because it's rise over run, that's the b and then the a, so what over what? 5 over 2. Can I reduce that one? No. Now, if you write it like this, I'm going to write it this way originally. Y minus 0 equals plus or minus 5/2 x minus 0. That's okay. But if you're taking a multiple choice part of the test, is it going to write it this way? No. How would it write it? Y equals? And just like that. Make sense? Okay, would you agree that's a pretty easy problem on the test?
Isn't there sometimes like a plus k at the end?
You're thinking of a parabola has a plus k. With the equation of the asymptotes, it's always linear. Our asymptotes are always linear. So there's no squared there, there's no h or k, it's just y1, x1, and the slope. Okay? All right. What's the next question? Find the vertex. Now, most missed, like type of wrong answer I get for this is 2, 5. Because my teacher has taught me opposite of the inside, outside stays the same, and it's wrong. But that's the most common wrong answer I get. Did anybody think that was the answer? And that's okay, that's why we're going over it now. Why is it wrong? Does anybody know? It's, look in your parentheses. What's with the negative 2? Is that x or y? It's y. It's still opposite of the inside. Outside stays the same, but the opposite goes in the y spot and the same goes in the x spot. Why? Because the 2 is with the y, meaning the outside is with the x. Be careful. And be extra careful when you're graphing and finding all those pieces, because if you flip it, that means everything else is wrong. All the rest, including the graph. Don't do that to yourself. Be careful. All right. Axis of symmetry. Which direction is this parabola opening? Up, down, right, or left? Up. And what's the vertex? Opposite, same. X with x. -5, 2. So if you go on your graph, left 5 and up 2, and draw your parabola, what is your axis of symmetry? I don't know if you guys can see that. It's too light.
X equals
X equals -5. Okay, what if your parabola was sideways like this one? Is it still x equals, or now is it y equals? And it would be y equals 2, the y value. Okay, x equals or y equals whatever's in the parentheses. So x equals opposite -5. Up here it would be y equals +2. Yes?
How do you tell what direction it goes again?
If it's x squared, it's up or down, positive, negative. If it's y squared, right or left, which can get confusing because I know some kids were confusing that with the hyperbola. That's totally different from the hyperbola. Okay? Just think of x squared as being the very first parabola you ever learned back in Math 2. X squared, you guys remember that? It was opening up and down. It was a long time ago. But you learned it, and you did it again last year.
Did you teach me that?
I taught you that. Yes, I did. Okay, I can find your test. What was that?
Oh, so what's the vertex?
So for which one?
4.
For 4, the vertex is -5, 2, which means the axis of symmetry is x equals -5. Go to
Isn't it just the opposite? Like if it's x equals, it would be the y.
Yeah. So look in your parentheses. If it's x equals. If it's y equals, and it's always the opposite.
We don't draw a graph.
You do not. I just did that for visual effect, but it's not necessary. Opposite of the inside with its like variable. X equals -5, y equals +2. Gabriela, ask me a question.
The axis of symmetry is just where the vertex split.
Yes. Yes. All right. How many times does the conic intersect the x-axis? This is just knowing what you know. Yes.
How can you tell which way a parabola opens?
Okay. You may not have heard it. Somebody here just asked it. Was that you, Shane?
I thought that was all of them but the parabola. Or you said like not the parabola but the parabola.
Yeah,
Yeah, you said the hyperbola.
Okay.
Oh, hyperbola.
Hy Are you okay? Hyperbola.
Everyone's different.
Well, they're different from each other. Hyperbola, if x squared comes first, it's up. I'm sorry. It is.
We can't see it.
Yeah, I'm getting it in screen. Okay. If for hyperbola, if x squared comes first, it is opening right and left. If y squared comes first, it's opening up and down. Think of that making a y, think of pushing those together, making an x, however you want to think about it. Okay? Now with a parabola, when it's y equals x squared or negative x squared, it's opening up or down. When it's x equals y squared or negative y squared, it's right or left. It's never both at the same time. Do you guys understand the difference? So this is the first one you ever learned, y equals x squared. Smiley face, frowny face. Do you guys remember that? Smiles when it's happy, frowns when it's sad. Yeah. So that's how you can think of that one. Then the y squared is the sideways, right and left, depending on if it's positive or negative. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. So what's the vertex on this first one? 5, 0. And which way is it opening? How many times does this touch or cross the x-axis?
Once.
Once. That's your answer. Next one. What's your vertex? 2, -4. And which way is it opening? It's x squared. It's positive. Which way is it opening? How many times does it touch or cross? Twice. And the last one, what's your vertex?
3, 5.
3, 5. And which direction is it opening? Okay. Opening up. So how many times does it cross the x-axis? 0, none, never, or any one of those. How many times does the conic intersect the x-axis? It does not, never, none, 0 times. Got it? Okay. What is the formula for eccentricity? Eccentricity is for an ellipse. Good job. E equals C over A or C over B, depending on which one is bigger.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Is it like whichever, like A value or B value is bigger? Or is it like after you divide each one, whichever one's bigger out of the two?
What do you mean by after you divide?
Like after you do C over A or C over B, and you get like decimal?
Oh,
Compare
it's
those
it's
two?
just no, it's just the A or B values.
Okay.
You pick A if A is bigger, you pick B if B is bigger. What you do have to know for the test, so I'm going to remind you, is what happens when you plug in your calculator, you get a decimal, when it's larger versus smaller. The larger the number, meaning closer to 1, 0.9, 0.95, 0.9991, it's more oval. Okay, so it's more oval. Versus when it's small, smaller means closer to 0, 0.1, 0.05, 0.11. That would be more what? Circular. Okay, so if I give you a list of numbers, a bunch of decimal values, and I ask you which one is closest to a circle, would you pick the largest or the smallest? If I said which one's more stretched out, more oval shape, would you pick the largest or the smallest? Largest. Make sense? Okay, find the focus. What shape is this? It has only one squared, so that's a good review. It's a parabola, and x is being squared. Is it a sideways or the original up or down? Up or down. It's positive, so which direction? Okay, what is the vertex? 2, 5. All right, you can do this without graphing if some of you can like think it through in your head. I'm visual, so I'm going to graph. Right 2 up 5. And which direction did you guys say this was opening? Because it's negative, it's opening down. Okay. And they're asking for the focus. If I'm looking for the focus in this particular picture, will I go up or down? Down. Is it always down for every parabola? No. Is it always inside for every parabola? Okay. What's the focal length formula for a parabola? It's different from all the others.
C equals 8 or 1 over each.
1 over 4, absolute value of A. Okay, so 1 over 4 times what's the absolute value of A here? A is the leading coefficient, by the way. Negative or positive 1/8. So 1 over, what does that reduce to? 1/2? 4. Okay, so after you flip it, it's 2. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
So I'm going to go up 2 or down 2? From the vertex in this picture, I go down 2, and that point right there is my focus. So originally it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was up 5, and I just went down 2. What x or y value is that? 3. So what is my, it's a 2. 2, 3? 2, 3. And parabolas have only one focus all day, every day. Questions? Okay. Next one is a hyperbola, which is foci. It's plural. There's more than one. What do I have to do first? Because it's not in the right form. Anybody know? Divide everything by what? By 225. And you can use calculators on the test, so I suggest you grab one before, not right now, but before you start. So x minus 2 squared, anybody have that, over 25 is correct, plus y plus 1 squared over 9 equals 1. Now, I don't know if I said the name of the shape already. I may have, but let's pretend I didn't. There's 2 squares. It's an ellipse. Why is it not a hyperbola? Because this is positive, and these two are different, so it's not a circle. Okay. All right, step back. You guys, some of you can do this in your head if you'd like, or we can graph. Does anyone have a suggestion for me? Graph? Okay, I will definitely graph. Does anybody want to see how to do without the graph? Just in case? No? Just graph it? All right. Okay, what is the center? 2, -1. Okay. 2, -1. How far right and left? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, how far up and down? 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now mine's going to be a little wonky because I'm not using like actual graph paper, but that's okay. Bless you. So this is giving us practice for the graph section as well. How do I find the foci? What do I have to first find? The focal length. I heard you guys. What is it? A squared equals, I'm sorry, not A squared. C squared equals, okay. C squared equals A squared minus B squared, and you know it's minus because there's a plus there. Absolute value, or you just do big minus small. You don't have to worry about the absolute value. Do you want absolute value or big minus small? Okay, it is the same thing on this one. 25 minus 9, which is what? What does it come out to be? 16? Did I hear 16? So what is C?
4.
Okay. According to this image, this is an ellipse. An ellipse is the only shape where we care about the major axis. If it is an ellipse, I'm going to repeat that. If it's an ellipse, everything's on the major axis. Which way is the major axis for this problem? So vertices are running left and right, foci are running left and right. Is that also true for a hyperbola? No. Okay, so right and left, what length? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like -2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what are those two ordered pairs? -2, -1, and the other one? 6, -1. Good job. Foci. Yeah, it says focus here, but it's plural for that one. Yes.
So you know when you do when you find C squared and you do the like opposite of like the equation where it's like minus because it's plus, would you also do that for a hyperbola?
Yes, so for the hyperbola, when it's a minus here, it'll be a plus over here. That is correct. All right, can we move on?
Wait, and for the ellipse, the focus is always on the longer.
Only for the ellipse.
Yes.
Vertices and foci are always on the major axis.
And then for like the one with the box, it's
What
whatever
comes
first.
Correct.
Which first one
Yes, after it's in standard form.
Yeah.
Did everybody hear that, the question and the answers? She said for an ellipse, is everything on the major axis, vertices and foci? Yes. And then she said, and for the hyperbola, it depends on what letter comes first. Yes. All right, let's move on. Next one, what's the shape? Before I even get in standard form, what's the shape? Why is it a hyperbola? Minus, and then even if these two numbers were the same, like 16 and 16, it's still a hyperbola because of the minus. What do I divide by? So x minus 2 squared over, anybody have it? 9. Minus y plus 5 squared over 16 equals 1. All right. Now, you have to be really careful with these because the minus sign, these could flip around. So when you're finding your center, it's not always the first and then the second. It's x and then y. In this particular problem, is it 2 and then -5? Yes, because x came first, but it's not always that way, so be careful is what I'm getting at. All right. Graph? No graph? I will eventually graph. Does anyone want to see it without the graph or just keep going with graphs? Okay. So I am going to use that line that's on the paper as part of the x-axis. Okay. And I'm just going to do these one more time. All right, center is 2, -5. All right, how far right and left? 3 or 4? 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And how far up and down? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. An ellipse or a hyperbola? So do I make an oval or the box shape? Okay, dot, dot, dot it. This dot, dot, dot is not part of your graph. This helps you graph your asymptotes. And what do the asymptotes help you with? How wide or narrow your hyperbola is. Okay. We have all of this. Which direction is it opening and why? It's opening left and right. Now kids will say, no, it should open up and down because 16 is bigger. Do we care about what's bigger in a hyperbola?
No.
No, it's all what comes first. X comes first, so it's right and left. Which means what about the foci? Which direction are the foci going to run? It's also going to be left and right. All right, what do I have to find in order to find the foci? C squared? Sorry. Okay. C squared equals, go ahead and do that now, A squared, and we said earlier if it's minus here it's going to be plus in your formula. Okay. Tell me what you guys get once you do it.
5.
Is it 5? Everyone agree? All right, now, here's another place kids mess up. When I move 5, do I do it from the vertices 5 and 5 or from the center 5 and 5? From the center. Be careful. A lot of kids do that. They'll come here and go out 5, and then they'll come over here and go out 5. It's from the center. Everything's from the center. Okay, right and left 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, what was the center? 2, and then from the 2 I went over 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's -3. All right, what are the vertices? I'm sorry, foci. So this, okay, 7, -5. -3, -5. Does everybody agree? All right. Questions? Yes.
So when you were trying to see, why did you add it to more times?
Good question. Let me repeat her question so everyone over here can hear it, and I'm going to have a volunteer answer. She said, on the C, right here, why did I put plus where on the other one on the previous page I put a minus? Yes.
It's the opposite of the formula.
Good. So here's your equation you're graphing. What do you see right there? Opposite is addition. Look at the previous page. Right here, this is what we were graphing. What sign is there? And opposite is negative.
So when you do negative, you have to the absolute brackets.
When you're subtracting over here, absolute value, or ignore it and just do big minus small every single time. It'll work the same way.
Big minus small will work for the one on the back page.
It doesn't matter on the back page because you're adding, and if you're adding two positives, it doesn't matter which big or small. But you could. It still work the same.
Okay, so then for A, that can maybe be or C equals 1 over
Yeah.
that one to do C squared.
Yes. And circles don't have any of that stuff, so we never worry about it. So parabola is the only one that's 1 over 4a. The other two is with the a squared, b squared, c squared, plus or minus depending on the problem. All right, let's look right here really quick. I want to go over this one because a lot of kids mess this one up, and I've talked to you about this before. We did it on quiz day right before the quiz. What shape is this because there's only one squared? Parabola. What is being squared? So here's what kids do. Don't write this down. They'll add 11 because that's how we've always done it with the other shapes. They regroup it and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Is that the way I do it on this one? No. When I'm completing the square and only one, then that's what I get to one side. Everything else moves to the other. So one side is going to be y squared plus 6y. And what's going to be on the other side? 5x plus 11. Usually we don't move variables to the other, but in this case we do. Okay, and then we complete the square. Math 2 kids just tested on completing the square today. Aww. And they said it was so hard.
Well, do they know
What's in store for them? All right. Cut in half. Cut in half and square, what do you get? 9. And then y plus what? 3. 5x plus what? 20. What? Oh, can you not nudge him, please? Guys, taking a look up here. At this point, I've had kids ask, do I move over the 20 or do I factor out a 5? It's really up to you. They both work out. Move over the 20? Okay. All right, so y plus 3 quantity squared minus 20 equals 5x. Want to get x by itself, so what do I divide everything by? By 5. And I'm going to write it over here with the x on the left side. X equals, I don't like writing it like this. How do I write it? 1/5. Good job. 1/5. Oh, not x. Y plus 3 squared, and then minus what? And that there is your parabola in vertex form. Okay. Find the center and a radius. Now it's not in the proper form, and there's only one shape that has a center and a radius. Circle. Is it a circle? Looking at your two squares. Okay, now is this one where I get everything to one side and move over the constant? Because there's an x squared and a y squared. Yes. X squared plus 12x plus y squared minus 8y equals negative 44. Is there anything on the x or the y to factor out? Because I do take out leading coefficients if they exist. No. So x squared plus 12x plus blank plus y squared minus 8y plus blank equals negative 44 plus how many blanks? All right. What goes in the first blank? 36. And there's nothing to multiply over there, so it's also 36 in this blank. 16, nothing to multiply, so this one's also 16. Quantity squared plus quantity squared equals, does anybody know what all this comes out to be? It is 8. All right, anybody have the x factored? Plus 6 and y minus 4. Because it's a circle, does it have to equal 1, meaning should I divide by 8? No, this is your standard form here for a circle. It's an ellipse or hyperbola that you divide over here. Now don't write this down on yours, but let's say you did all this work and it ended up being 1 on its own. Is that okay for it to equal 1? Yeah, what's the radius if it equaled 1? Square root of 1 is 1. But if it does not equal 1, it equals something like we have here, 8, you do not have to divide. Got it?
What if you do divide?
Well, here you wouldn't want to anyway, because all we need is a center and radius. And your radius is right here, so you don't want to. You don't need to.
Since you're saying you don't have to divide, like what would happen?
If you did, as long as you know the numbers down here, because that's where it would be at, as long as you know that would be your radius, square root of it. Okay, so what's the center? Negative 6, comma, and the radius is not 8, it is the square root 8. Good job, and you do break it down. What is it? 2 root 2. You break it down, 4 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 root 2. Got it? Okay, next one. Because they did not tell us what the shape is, we know it's not a parabola because it has two foci. And we know it's not a circle because circles don't even have a foci. It's an ellipse or a hyperbola. Definitely sketch it so you know what is going on. All right, so let's see. Vertices are 5, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 2, and 5, negative 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 8. All right, without anything else, do we have enough to find our center? Yes? Count your way inward, boom, 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 or midpoint formula. What's 5 plus 5? Cut in half. 5. What's 2 plus negative 8? Negative 6, cut in half. Okay, so we did 5 plus 5, cut in half. 2 plus negative 8, cut in half. Or you can simply count your way in, bless you. So center's 5, negative 3. Does that look about right? Yes? All right, foci are 5, 5. Okay, so 5, 5. And 5, negative 11. According to the position of the foci, that's why I like to put my foci with stars so I can keep track. And according to where the foci are positioned is an ellipse or a hyperbola. Why is it a hyperbola? Why is it not an ellipse? Where should the foci be if it were an ellipse? Inside the vertices. Outside, so it's the box shape and your hyperbola is like this. And I should have asked it first, but can you see that it's going to be opening up and down? Yes? Opening up and down, what comes first? Oh, don't forget your 1. Kids often forget that and it's wrong. I heard y, so y minus negative 3 would be what? Plus 3, and then b squared. And then x minus 5 is just x minus 5 with the a squared. All right, now a few of you guys were asking earlier, how do you find your A, your B, or your C? Here's the example right now. Now, from the center to the vertex, either one, it does not matter. In this case, it is the A, the B, or the C. It is B because we're going up and down. And what is that length from negative 3 up to the positive 2? What is it? 5. And C is always the length from the center, again, to the what? To the foci. Does it matter which star you use? No. What is the length from the negative 3 up to the 5? 8. We know B is 5. We know C is 8. So I'm going to put over here underneath the Y, what should I put? 5 or 25? Okay, and how do I use that and the C value to find the A value? Good job. C squared equals A squared what? It's minus here, so it'd be plus. C is 8, 8 squared. A squared we're looking for. B is 5, so 5 squared. 64 minus 25 equals A squared. What do you get? 39. Now, I did have a few kids square root and like, I don't know what to do next. Should we be square rooting? What am I looking for here? A squared, not A squared. So what goes here? 39. Okay. Oh, good grief. Okay. We're going to have to start. Are you guys okay if I just show you the answers and explain how to do it? No. What was that? Don't even show you the answers?
No, she said show us the answers.
Oh, to the test. Sorry. Okay. So, guys, I'm going to explain quickly. focus is 2, 3. You would plot it. Directrix, x equals 8 is what kind of line? Vertical or horizontal? Vertical. So there's my vertical line. Do you see that there? Okay, so there's the focus. There's the directrix. How did I find the center? What did I do? Counted my way inward, or did the midpoint. And the center came out, or the vertex came out to be 5, 3. Does everybody see after you have the star and your line, you can count your way in to find the vertex? Yes or no? Okay, next piece. Because it's sideways, and do you guys see why it's sideways once you plot these two pieces here? And can you see that it's going to open left? Yes? Is that when x is being squared or y is being squared? Y. So I set this up. This is kind of my rough sketch of what it's going to look like. Where did I get the -3 and the +5 from? Vertex. 3 with the y, 5 on the outside. And then what do I use to find the a value? 1/4a equals c. And what is c according to my picture? 3. You solve and you get 1/12. Can anybody tell me why here I got positive? Why did I make it negative over here? Do you have to do that on your own? Yes. When you're finding a using the c, it's not going to come out negative if it's supposed to be. Okay. Yes.
So, I know why it's left because the negative,
Mm-hmm.
but what do the x and the y have to do with that? Like,
What x and what y?
in the equation?
This x and this y?
No, below that.
This x and this y?
Yeah.
This is just like y equals mx plus b, 2x plus 5 or 7. There's always an x and a y. There's always going to be an x and a y in your equation. I will tell you right now, but I haven't answered her question yet. So
I just don't understand how to ask the question, I guess.
Yes.
But like the y -3 squared.
like where did I
Is
get that
that-
from?
I don't know.
Right,
Okay.
like, why is it left and right, or why is the y squared?
Yeah.
If it's up or down, y equals a x minus h squared plus k. That's up or down. Right and left is x equals a y minus k squared plus h. That's left or right.
Okay.
So is that
So
what you were
if
asking?
It starts with x.
It's right or left.
Okay.
If it starts with y, it's up or down. Yes. Yes. Okay. What was your question? Okay, so we know C is 3 because the center to either the star or the line, they're both 3. We know C is 3, and we know the focal length formula C equals 1/4a. I just set them equal. 3 equals 1/4a, multiply both sides by 4a, divide both sides by 12, a equals 1/12. Yes?
Okay, so on the question before this, you had the graph and you did like the lines and
Uh-huh.
how C equals like 8 or whatever.
Uh-huh.
How do you know how to like the distance like to find C or D?
C is always from the center to your what? Focus. Either star, it doesn't matter. Pick a star. Center to either star is always your C. Center to your vertex is A or B, depending if it's this way, up and down, or right and left.
Okay, so right and left would be
A. Up and down would be B. And it's always A or B is always center to the vertex. Either vertex, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Center to the star is always your C. And it doesn't matter which way on that one.
And then you would find like A or B with the C squared equals 8.
For this one, you use the C squared formula. On this one, because it's a parabola, you use the 1/4a formula.
Oh.
Yes.
Can you show number 14?
Number 14. I was actually going to say 14 is definitely the one I wouldn't do because I did the quiz one with you guys. I did it up here, and it's the same type of problem. Okay. The one thing I do want to emphasize here is it's a common mistake for kids to say -2.5 because that comes first and that comes second. Is that wrong? Be careful, because if you mess that up, what happens to everything else? Everything, including the graph, and all of these are wrong. Why is it 5, -2? X came second, Y came first. Does that make sense? That you will have to remember. Transverse is the vertices, conjugates the non-vertices.
See the
full page.
Miss
Yeah.
Ms. Torrance?
Yes.
For number 9, if we put root 8, we get it wrong. If we have to do the 2 root 2,
Probably not.
that'd be good.
Okay.
Because I don't think I'm good with that.
No. All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's clear. Guys, are you guys okay if I collect work on Friday? Because of time. No? Okay, let's clear, please, and get into the right rows, like no one should be sitting here. It's that one, and then you alternate, so no one's sitting there, no one's sitting there. Please quickly move around. Oh, thank you.
Snatch it.
No, let's see.
No, we really got yeah, we're all gonna go. Yeah. I didn't know we had a test. I thought we needed next week. It's Friday. I didn't know. That's why I did all this. I don't know if I have one done.
All right, Shane, you're sitting in the wrong spot.
Oh.
I think you're the only one sitting in the wrong spot.
That's awesome.
All right, Shane.
We're gonna go,
Can we get like very few pass on tests?
No. All right.
Can we drop a test?
No.
Can we drop one test?
Guys,
We should,
All the
since we
other
don't have
classes are
justice, we don't have the recovery counts.
we get homework tests?
phones, put them in your backpacks, not your pockets, your backpacks. Quickly, quickly, quickly. No smart watches on, no hoods on, because I need to see your ears.
Just can't see the double.
All right, are we all ready?
Just try something.
Calculators out. Is that what you bring
It
to work?
tells me the time, my heart rate, instead of taking flights upstairs every time.
Okay, you two right here are actually, Shane, you are not the only one. Other people are sitting in the wrong row.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's you, Eros.
That's even more awkward.
Because he's celebrating their mistakes.
No, because they.
Because I called it out. You're in the wrong row. Look at that.